Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I have one of my favorite guests back with me today, and it's going to be an awesome show. I have Missy Hill with me. Missy's a paranormal historian, a conspiracy researcher, grid worker, and a multidimensional explorer known for her deep dives into esoteric timelines and hidden histories, the metaphysics behind global and geopolitical events, interdimensional entities and paranormal, intrusions, UFO encounters and multidimensional bleed-through, earth grids, land portals, and ancient cosmologies. With decades of study, lived experience, and intuitive thought, Missy weaves together a rare blend of occult research, metaphysical knowledge, and boots-on-the-ground paranormal investigation. She's known for connecting the dots between natural cataclysms, ancient beings, and elemental spirits, legends, electromagnetic anomalies, and psyops. And tonight, that we're going to be talking about a lot about that. In this episode, we'll explore the paranormal heartbeat of the upper Midwest, Lake Superior's dark legends, and the Wendigo archetype, the strange electromagnetic disturbances linked to the Great Lakes Triangle and missing ships and everything else. I mean, we have a full slate of stuff to talk about tonight, and it's going to be awesome. And then also, we're going to do live calls too. So the live call thing is up on the screen. Don't call in yet because I want to let Missy do her presentation, and we'll do an interview first. But then there is a point where we'll take calls. So I'd love that, so a couple of you guys called in, and the number is 573-877-7637. With all that said, I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Missy, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
I'm great, Rob, and I can't believe we are almost through January. And yeah, we're 2026 is full steam ahead. And the Chinese New Year, which is February 17th, is the year of the fire horse. And to me, it's almost like the chariot and the tarot card. It's like get running and get moving. And for that, I have my little dragons with me. I'm carrying the dragon energy because I'm feeling like it's needed because we need a fire-breathing dragon with all this ice, all this active with the ice. So what I want to tell everybody about, first of all, back in South Carolina, I've been here for a week and a couple days already, and it's even been cold, and they've predicted stuff down here, but it hasn't happened. It's like I went to the gym today and they had salted the deck and the concrete because I guess they were predicting whatever could happen. And again, it looks like we're in it again. Now, most of my family and friends has not gotten too much. It sort of missed Black Mountain. It missed the Spring Creek area, but my aunt got some in Georgia, and it's in Henderson County and Swain County. And, so it's further south and west in North Carolina, but we know what's, going on in the middle of the country and how horrible. And even like where you are, how much snow did you get, Rob?
We got, I showed pictures. We got to like 2 feet. I wanted to talk about this, Missy. Like just before we connected, I was sharing the links for the show. So I ended up on Instagram and I was scrolling, and it looks like there was one video. I put these all on my story so people can go to my Instagram story or my Facebook story and see this. People were literally skiing on the streets of downtown Pittsburgh. Like they were taking they had a car, and and they were being pulled back, by a car. And then in Philly, Philly got it really bad too. They were snowboarding down the Capitol steps in the middle of the city. I have that all on my Instagram. And then someone did a really nice photo. Yeah, and then someone did a really nice photo collage of the city of Pittsburgh, like downtown, and it said, this is the worst snowstorm we've gotten in, honestly, like years. I mean, like I was outside shoveling today for about an hour and a half. My arms are so sore. Like I had to shovel like 2 feet. It was really bad. It was, and then yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
a great workout. It's a great workout, but I think you need a snow thrower, or you need that thing on the front of your truck or car. You can go out and make some money if you have like a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive and you want to go shovel snow in parking lots. I knew somebody that used to make a killing doing that.
Yeah, I thought about doing that, I thought about going door to door and asking people if they wanted their snow shoveled. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I should have did it, but I don't know. Like,
Well, if you're going to do that, you need a snow thrower. You know, you're not going to want to be shoveling. That's a lot of work, especially in a wet, heavy snow. Oh my God! I got to show everybody my shirt, Bigfoot again. You know, for the Bigfoot in an ice age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But another thing about this weather is that it's actually brutally, I'm talking like brutally cold here. Like I had to walk to the store today, and I also had to I had to because but like it was like it says it's 20 degrees, but then there's the wind chill, right? Like we get the wind chill in Pittsburgh, and like that's like always 20 degrees or 10 degrees, you know. It's like it goes down to like the wind chill's like 0, you know what I mean? It's like really bad. So we have really like nasty weather here. We're lucky we didn't lose power, you know?
Right. Yeah, you're very lucky. I don't know about my aunt. I know yesterday she didn't, but they had ice. And, you know, last year in South Carolina and even where Indy is, she had snow in Pensacola, but we had like, it was like 6 inches of ice and like 3 or so inches of snow on top of the ice. And it stayed for over a week. It was beautiful. But
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, the symbology of the name of this storm, Fern, I thought I was decoding that. I thought that was very interesting because first of all, everything's Ron, turn that off. My husband's actually listening to us over there, and there's a delay, and he can't do that because it just threw me off. Fern represents new growth, and these are some of the most ancient of plants. He's doing it again. Ron, I can't. Yeah, I can't think when you've got that playing. Sorry, you guys. Fern represents the most ancient of plants, you know, and new growth, right? Very, very new growth. And what's interesting is when I was up in Western North Carolina, there was a day that I went to acupuncture and all these spring flowers were blooming, like daffodils were coming up, forsythia was coming up. And that's when everybody kind of got sick, went into like some kind of allergies and stuff. I noticed, you know, I had like this ear thing that was going on. It was like I had fluid in my ears that went into my sinuses. And I'm like, this is all because this stuff is blooming. I mean, I don't have any allergies anymore, you know, any seasonal spring or fall allergies. But when shit starts blooming in the winter months that's supposed to be blooming in the spring, that'll screw you up. You know what I mean? And then there was all that sickness crap that people got that sickness. So the fact that the ice is covering Fern, what happened when the ice age happened? They found, you know, the greenery, you know, in the mouths of mastodons and different animals and stuff because things just froze like that. So there's a connection with that. And also with that thing that Indy decoded with that UFO, because today I was just, you know, I've been thinking about Hyperborea for every winter I think about Hyperborean timelines, right? Ever since, like, say the solstice on, I think about, you know, Atlantis, but I mostly think about Hyperborea, especially when I start connecting with the Aurora Borealis and the Northern Lights, which started talking to me again in Western North Carolina that I was going to see them. And I went out and took photographs. And I posted those photographs, and I've been on your show talking about this before, but when I see them in South Carolina, it's even weirder. And I got some really weird footage that you saw with these squiggly like gold lines when I was like, I don't know how I got it. If I moved the camera, but even still, if I was looking at a star, which I was looking at Polaris, because Polaris is the lowest star right now in the northern sky on the horizon, because you have to look to the north to get the photos of the Aurora Borealis. And you can't necessarily see them with the naked eye. I mean, I sort of feel them with my naked eye, but it's more the third eye. But the digital camera is able to pick up that radiation signature, and then you just have to hit like enhance on your photo, you know, because it's too dark. And if you hit enhance, it'll bring those colors out. And a lot of times for me, they either come out pink, purple, or some kind of like weird blue hue. So I got those. And, you know, the story, you know, and you had recently talking about, you know, geomagnetic storms and magnetic and you know, all the stuff, solar winds is what creates this, right? So the fact that we are so far from the north and we're seeing it here, and even sometimes they see it down in Florida, that's crazy to me. That's just not supposed to be. Now, yes, there's also an inorganic element too that connects in with on us, you know, the barium, aluminum, strontium, and I even heard zirconium, you know, which is what they make fake crystals out of, right? Cubic zirconia, the you know, like fake diamonds, and when they heat treat certain things, and they're able to speed up the process of making crystals.
That's cool.
But anyway, with crystal, I got out my agate crystal skull because I know that agate is something that's found in Lake Superior. So I want to get into the whole thing about the, you know, we hear about the Bermuda Triangle. We've heard about the Las Vegas Triangle. But after, you know, it came to me when you guys were on the other night, and I was thinking, does Greenland connect with not Michigan, with Minneapolis, Minnesota? I got a yes. I was like, I feel a connection. I feel some connection, like whatever. There's a line, which is actually not going to Minneapolis, but it's going to Duluth, which is the tip of Lake Superior. Lake Superior is it is the greatest, largest body of fresh water in the world. So that's important, that it's part of, you know, the Great Lakes, Lake Michigan, all this stuff. So the fact that there's a Stargate there makes sense. And it shares the same sheet of ice, which is called the, what is this called now? Laurentide, I think. Yeah, the Laurentide sheet of ice and telluric energy as far as under the ground rocks and movement and all that stuff as Greenland. So there is a connection because Greenland still has the same sheet of ice from the last ice age. It's one of the only places like in the northern hemisphere that has that sheet of ice, right? And I've talked about this before, that there are cruises going to Greenland. I looked it up on Carnival because remember when Carnival was in Charleston, we used to go out of Charleston and go to the Bahamas and different places, but that has moved. They've moved that to, I think it's Virginia now, somewhere in Virginia. I can't remember, but they do have a ship going out of Maryland that goes to different ports of call in Greenland. I thought that's very interesting, and it goes into Canada too, probably like into Nova Scotia and places like that. I haven't really looked at it too much, but when I saw this in my mind, I got out my old globe because I like to work with the globe and the Rand McNally map because I'm old school when it comes to this stuff. So I was getting, you know, through Greenland, going into Duluth, and then going through Las Vegas Area 51, this line like this, that ends up in the Pacific, south of the Hawaiian Islands, and ends up in Australia somewhere. I think it's around Queensland or Brisbane or something. I'd have to actually get it on, you know, I was trying to do it on Google Map. I haven't perfected it, but it's like seeing this whole line. The other thing about Lake Superior, interesting, they say that underneath there's another lake because there's almost things that these cavern-like things that are like craters that look like a crater lake, or it looks like it's from volcanic activity or earthquakes or something that creates these big craters. And this is the coldest lake too. It's gorgeous, beautiful blue water, but freezing, where somebody could get hypothermia instantly oh my God, I just get this thing that says something about NATO and Greenland. I get these alerts. I don't know if this was on X, but it just said something about NATO and Greenland.
I wonder what that is.
Huh?
I said, I wonder what that is. I wonder what they're, I mean, Greenland's a hot topic right now, you know, like it really is. Like, you know, for whatever reason, you know, like a lot of people are wondering what's going on there, you know. It's a big one. It's a big one for sure, you know. And I wonder why now, Missy. You know, that's what makes me think. Why now?
On a 3D level, it's strategic because of Russia and things like that. But I think, just like with what's going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota, everything is smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
And maybe something that's coming to the surface now. Kind of what was coming to me is before the bridge collapsed in in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, people were seeing the Mothman.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to find out if there's any paranormal sightings, if there's any more UFO sightings, if there's any Paulding light type of sightings, which is, you know, the Paulding lights are up in that area too. Or if there's Wendigos or the other creature, which let me just tell you about this other creature and then I'll go back.
While you're looking for that, I just wanted to tell you that I was listening to Michael
Mishipechu.
I was listening to Michael Savage today. You know, I used to listen to him all the time. He's more like right wing, but like, you know, he was saying that he thinks, and you know, when Sam Tripoli was on Alex Jones, he thinks this too, that these protests are being funded by George Soros or George Soros' son, and also the ACLU, you know, and they're funding these groups like Antifa. This is more on a 3D level. I know we look at things from a paranormal and esoteric level, but like, I think people should know this. I really think it's George Soros. You know, I really, you know, that resonates with me. What do you feel?
You know what I think really comes down to it is I listen to that thing, all this stuff going on. I think it's a land grab. If you want to know the truth, I think it's going to be a land grab. I think they because there's no industry anymore, because it used to be, what was it, iron and steel. I mean, it was iron ore and copper. So, you know, I guess I'll say this first before I get into the creatures that are there. Part of what is there with this lake inferior. Okay, so the myth is that there's an underwater lake under Lake Superior called Lake Inferior, and it houses a lot of these minerals. One of them is copper. Copper has so many benefits. Part of why everything's mysterious there, because here you have a natural orgone generator with all this copper and all these minerals, this agate. You know what agate is? Agate is actually like petrified wood. You know what they've done out west in the Painted Desert, places like that? It was all those huge trees that they, you know, terrain modified and got rid of all those big trees, and everything became petrified at one time, right?
Yeah.
So copper has so many benefits physically for us. You know, we can't even absorb iron without copper. It's great for our brain health. It's really good for collagen building, for nervous system. It maintains bone density and helps regenerate cells. So when you have all this orgone and you have and all these other interesting phenomena with other crystals and minerals we probably don't even know about in this body of fresh water, with really pretty much everything is salt around it and land around it. You know, this is almost like another cradle of civilization, if you will, because the whole thing with Indy decoding that thing about that UFO and the whole thing with Hyperborean timelines, that is connected to the axis of the Earth. We know that Earth was at one time supposed to be like this, right? And then something happened, what they call the celestial. I know Zachariah Sitchin calls it the celestial bombardment, with all that stuff with Tiamat and Marduk that created the 23 degrees off tilt. And then the moon was put there, you know, by the Iggy or whoever they are, you know, the whole base of the moon. And we know that the moon is hollow, rings like a bell. Some say there's water inside the moon, all this stuff, right? So if if Greenland is like the sheet of ice, and that's where the tilt is, you can see that makes sense. Because if it was like this, that's why Greenland's holding the ice, because it is closest to the north, and magnetic north is actually shifting, and north is supposed to line up with Polaris, which is Polarian timelines. The Polarians came before the Hyperboreans, and I feel like the Polarians, that's our plasma template that connects us to internal eternal creation, connects us to God source, and that's our radiation. That's our radial bodies, to do with Polaris and Polarian energy. Before Hyperborea, which is the giants, which is those beings, why I put in the thumbnail, you know, the AI picture, those Easter Island dudes that remind me of "Give me gum gum dum dum."
Those are the Rapa Nui, right? That's the Rapa Nui, right? Isn't that what they are?
What movie that was when we were talking about Meet the Fockers? Remember who was in Meet the Fockers? That played at Night at the Museum. I want gum gum dum dum.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what's that actor's name? It's not the little Pee Wee one. Was Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller was the one that played the caretaker at the museum. So when I think of those guys, I always think of "Let me gum gum dum dum." So yeah,
that's hilarious.
But those are the guardians of our galaxy. Some of them, you know, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are our guardians of the galaxy, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. You're right. It cracked me up when me and Indy were doing that show, and like it showed that picture of those Rapa Nui statues around the craft. You know what I mean? It's like maybe they charge those energetically before they put them on Earth. You know? I don't know. Like something like that. You know? I don't know. Like it's fascinating.
Could be.
You know, like it's fascinating.
But because of all this instability in the land grids in Lake Superior and the Great Lakes, because of the water that's coming in, and like this ship that was preserved, you know, there was a schooner from 1870, they called it the Bermuda, but nobody really knows its name, but there was trade routes there because of steel and iron ore and things like that. They use these as trade routes. This ship that they found, it was completely preserved because it's not salt water, it's fresh water, so it's like it froze everything in time.
Yeah,
and the way
I interviewed Ron Rademacher, his name is. He talks about the ancient I think it's copper that was up there in Michigan, like, and he said, or something like that, and like, and he said the ancient Vikings would come here before. This is way before Columbus and stuff like that, you know. I gotta look up his site, Ron Rademacher. That's the guy's name that I would have on, and he would talk about something ancient. Let me look it up. Yeah,
the
I haven't had him
important
on
thing about this is because the land grids there's stuff going on with it because of the ice age, and there's instability deep under the ground because there's underground caverns. I mean, that's what I was researching today, that there's like this instability. It makes sense why there's contention there. You know, there's like 4 different Indian tribes that, you know, were really afraid of the Great Lakes. I mean, there was a lot of fear and mystery, and always seeing weird lights and weird craft coming out of the water, USOs, you know, unidentified submergible objects coming out. And then these creatures, one of them is like, it's called the Mishipechu, which is an underwater panther with it's scaly or has horns, kind of like dragon-like, scaly with horns or feathers. They call it the Great Lynx. It's like a so it's like a cryptid animal. You know, it's definitely a cryptid. Yeah. And it was the guardian of copper, which means if you took too much copper, it would cause the sinking of ships and things like that.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Oh, Mark Eddy's in the chat. Mark Eddy knows a lot about this. Yeah, he's the one who connected me with Ron. He was saying about let me see what he said. Yeah. Where is it?
Could it be what's going on in Minneapolis and the surrounding areas, like, Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, because of whatever's coming up to the surface in the Great Lakes? Maybe there's something happening on a paranormal level there.
I think
and it's
so.
making people go crazy.
I also think people are hijacked too. I told Indy this today too. I said, I think when you have that much angst going on in an area, that's prime. That like entities will feast on that, and a lot of these people aren't spiritually awake enough. Whether they're on the right side or the left side, they're not spiritually awake enough to notice that they're hijacked. So they'll just act out, Whereas like when I had an entity attachment, I was able to feel it, and I wanted to do something about it. But like some people are hijacked and they can't feel it, and it's just like, that's scary. And I really feel like that's prime real estate for entities, It
is prime real estate for entities, and maybe that area also is prime real estate for a land grab.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah. You
So are they because there is no industry anymore? Not really. In Detroit or Minneapolis, I mean, that city's gone downhill. I remember when we were truck drivers and went there, 20 years ago, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful city, and I remember being there in the winter.
Yeah. Wow. What do you think what do you think they're trying to land grab it for? What do you think they want the land for, Missy? Do you think there's an esoteric reason, or do you think it's more 3D?
Both. Minerals and, they know things. Yeah. They know things that are going on. Now, I also want to tie this into, let's talk about some of these ships. First of all, one of the famous ones was the Gordon Lightfoot song about ghost ships. The Edmund Fitzgerald, 1975, 29 people died, immortalized by the lake. It is said it never gives up her dead, by the Gordon Lightfoot song. And then there was another ghost ship called the Flying Dutchman in 1902. All these, the crew vanishes. There's like 7 or 8 of these different ships, ghost ships. I'm not going to name all of them because I can't remember their names. I mean, it's like I was getting this download today and I just felt this had to be talked about and tied in with ICE.
Yeah.
Because isn't it interesting? Immigration, customs,
ICE. Yeah.
What's the last one? Yeah. Immigration, customs. I can't think of what the E stands for right now. With ICE.
Enforcement.
Right. With ICE,
Yeah.
With the ICE sheet.
Yeah.
It's crazy, all deliberate. All the words, it's all deliberate how they tie everything together, even with naming the storm Fern, because spring started to come early and then it froze. What are they trying to tell us?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm trying to examine this situation from a neutral perspective, but it's hard because I have more conservative values. I just do. And like one thing that I've noticed is I had Arkeem on last night, and he said, that ICE agents are acting out of character. He didn't say this, but it seems like to me that the left thinks that the ICE agents are acting like the Gestapo, and then the right thinks that that Antifa is funded by George Soros, and this is all, like the plan to take down humanity and shit like that. And me, I'm kind of looking at it as like an outsider saying, like, why can't people just like get along? Like, why do we have to have this kind of like insurgency in our country? It's an embarrassment for America. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I know things are going to happen and people are going to have disagreements and stuff like that, but I mean, it's a little bit crazy. You know what I mean? It's like a war zone there right now. It's like
because it's psyop. It's really a psyop. It's the whole thing is a psyop.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And like Alex interviewed that guy. What was his name again? I listened to that. I can't think of his name.
He had Sam Tripoli from Tinfoil Hat on.
Yeah, he said this is like the Bolsheviks again. I tend to agree with that. I've been using that metaphor for the past few years. When people talk a lot of times about, just trust the plan, the Q movement, and all that stuff, I'm like, I can't trust no plan. You kidding? Exactly. I want to see I want to know for real what's going on. I want to see the truth. I want action, not just hearing so-and-so's in Gitmo. I want proof of that shit, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I absolutely agree. And it's weird. Like, that was a whole, I felt like Q was a whole psyop too. It was like to mislead people, and it's perfectly done because they know how to manipulate people's emotions. You know what I mean? They know how to get people fired up.
There may be some truth in it, but as a whole, I don't trust it. Now, the interesting thing also about Wendigos, it has the name Wendy in it. And I know some Wendy's. One friend gave me this Oregon, so I've been working with this because of the whole thing with copper and, the weather modification, and trying to us put out our own signals with dowsing and wishing machines to remove the life force energy and scramble the frequency of this bizarre weather. So I've been doing that. That's what you guys can do. Hear that again. Scramble the frequency of this bizarre weather and remove the life force from it. So it mitigates, and it's not as harmful to everyone. So yeah.
Something that's going around on Facebook, and people have been saying this. Some people have said that they're burning snow and the snow is turning black and it smells like plastic. But I tried that here. I tried to burn some snow today, and that didn't happen for me. Mine just melted. So I told this girl on Facebook, I said, look, what I think's happening is different people are getting different kinds of snow depending on what they're spraying in your area. You know what I mean? And I think that's where this is coming from. If they're spraying some really fucked up shit, excuse my language, in your area, you're going to get that black snow or the snow that turns black because they're but obviously I don't think they're doing that here right now, at least, but they might be doing it in other areas, I don't know. Because people are saying they're definitely getting this snow that turns black and it smells like plastic, which is crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the symbology of the Wendigo with the name Wendy is cannibalism, greed. Let's see what else I wrote down, because if I don't write things down, I may not remember all of it. It's like a person that becomes a cannibalistic giant. They're transformed into a monster because of gluttony, greed, and excess. And we've heard about these dark ones, these fallen ones, these ones that are in that cult, the cult of Set and all that stuff, that they actually eat human flesh.
Wow. Holy shit.
They're cannibalistic.
That's crazy.
And
holy shit.
It's almost like, I remember years ago, I happened to go to a zoo once, and I was connecting with the eagles at the zoo, and you know how that's supposed to be important to the United States, the golden eagle grid. Well, the eagle told me, no, the metaphor or the mascot you should see now is like the turkey vulture, which eats dead things. It eats carrion. It eats dead things.
Yeah.
Not the eagle, the turkey vulture, but it has its purpose to eat the dead things. But that's sort of what we've become, which brings me to the next thing. Isn't it interesting that DJT, Donald Trump, has invested in heavily, I don't know if it's $1 million or $2 million, I can't get the scoop on this, in Netflix, which is merging with Warner Brothers. What are the implications of that?
I told you, I think on a 3D level, I think it has to do with like Paramount's making big moves, Paramount's with CBS, you know what I mean? And then they also just signed the UFC, which, like that's big for them because it's going to bring them a lot of people to Paramount to watch the UFC. It's bigger than we can think because that's a huge sport now. You know, it's bigger than boxing. You know what I mean? I mean, like millions and millions of people watch the UFC. So like Paramount doing that is huge. So Warner Brothers is probably, I think, trying to do something to counteract that. They're probably trying to, it's Warner Brothers and Netflix. But now the question is, what's this going to do to Netflix? Are we still going to see some of the same stuff? Or are we going to see a watered down version of Netflix? Like, not that Netflix was ever any great. I mean, but like, it could get a lot worse with Warner Brothers in there. I could get, it seems like Hollywood is dead. Also, that's another thing. I think Hollywood's actually dead. I think a lot more people are watching podcasts. A lot more people are, watching podcasts. Yeah. Like, honestly, podcasting's huge. And, like people aren't watching movies as much anymore. It's like, I don't know. So maybe Warner Brothers wants to invest in Netflix because, they see a future with it. You know what I mean? Whereas maybe they don't even have a future with like the way they're going now. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Brothers is Looney Tunes. Warner Brothers is Looney Tunes, isn't it? What's up, Doc? Isn't that Looney Tunes?
I think so, yeah.
Where instead of which is great, Harry Potter was Warner Brothers. I mean, most every movie that I've liked has been Warner Brothers as opposed to like, I'm glad it's not Disney. Let's put it that way. Thank God. I mean, because I was happy that Star Wars was bought out by Disney and that a lot of Marvel shit became Disney. It's like making my masculine heroes into Disney princesses, and I don't want to see that.
yeah, they do that. They do that. Yeah, it's a shame that how they have to make everything so culturally, culturally appropriate, right? Like to what the leftist agenda kind of wants to see with like, whether it's I don't want to go there because like I don't want people to get offended. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I like that word though, the leftards. I'm using that, the leftards.
Yeah. I like what Michael Savage used to say. Like I started watching Michael Savage. Michael Savage said liberalism is a mental disorder. And what's crazy, Missy? Like I'm not like a hardcore right-wing person at all. I'm more neutral. I'm like conspiracy theorist. I told Indy this too. I said I'm like neutral, you know what I mean? But I have conservative values. But like Michael Savage is right. Some of these people on the left are so crazy. They're really satanic and they're really human trafficking, and they're really doing things to kids. It's like I had Arkeem on last night, and like Arkeem has a complete different, idea of this than me, and I respect it. And I didn't want to argue with him, you know what I mean? But I think, that like a lot of these protests we're seeing are really funded by George Soros, and like, and he's causing a lot of, or his son, that's what Michael Savage said. And it makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'd love to see what people think in the chat, but I don't like to get too political because
Michael Savage, didn't he come on? Didn't he come on before Art Bell? I remember Michael Savage. We used to listen to him on XM radio. I know we heard it was, I think it was Michael Savage. It was Whitley Strieber, because we would listen to Dreamland. I think these were all around at the same time. And then there was one guy, Phil Hendry. I don't know if you remember him. He was more liberal, but he was a gun he was for freedom, even though he said he was a Democrat at that point, but he was for pro-gun, so he probably wouldn't be aligning with that anymore. But I remember listening to all these, different types of talk radio when we were in the truck. We would listen to all these different.
Michael Savage used to have the Savage Nation. I was telling someone today, I used to listen to it back in 2008. Like, and that, like it was on, him and Art Bell were both on the radio here, but he would always talk about, he was really like right wing, but like he was always more, I see, like back then in 2008, I didn't know much about conspiracy theories. And I'll be honest, I guess I was right wing before it was cool because I voted for George Bush, but like that was before I knew he was a warmonger and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it was before I knew about like hardcore conspiracies and stuff like that. Like now I would be like, oh my God, you know what I mean? What was I thinking? That he was, that George Bush Sr. was head of the CIA with his 1,000 points of law. Yeah.
To Prescott Bush and the Nazi camps and all that stuff and Halliburton and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't want to get into any of that either. I'm trying to think where else I was going with all this. But
wait, also they flooded the ghettos with crack cocaine too. You know what I mean? Like that was a CIA operation done by George Bush's father. You know what I mean? And then they flooded the streets with crack, and then they arrested people for selling it and using it. So it was like a double-edged. It was like a full. It was kind of like how they put syphilis in the black community as well back in the day. You know what I mean? They really did the African Americans dirty. You know, but I mean, Danny Hawk says, I love this. Danny Hawk in the comments, she says, if you see the police, warn a brother. Because you see, we're talking about Warner Brothers, and now we're talking about this. And you remember that used to be on people's shirts back in the day. People would have a shirt on and said, if you see the police, warn a brother. Yeah, that I remember that. That's hilarious. I can't believe she remembered that. That's cool. Holy shit. Yeah.
And anyway, I thought of tying this into zombie apocalypses because I just wanted to finish Stranger Things, you know, because I had a lot of time invested in it, and it's a lot of this, you know, it's crazy and kind of, you know, not great, but it's this whole zombie apocalypse thing. I mean, a lot of it is like dreams like I've had. Another thing was Mall World. You know, when you have that girl talking about Mall World, I've had all those weird dreams and like being in like, looks like army camps and in red lights and these malls that sometimes turn into casinos, you know, if I'm like walking through casinos and airports and all this stuff. But the reason I'm watching the rest of Stranger Things because of the fact that it reminds me of many other things that I've watched, including Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones, what was the theme saying in that? Winter is coming. Remember that?
Yeah.
If you watched it, and how there was the Night King, and during the cold part of the winter in the Great White North, there was all these zombie creatures that would keep coming back to life. And why are they? You have to look at everything they show us is predictive programming. There's an element of truth in it. What are they trying to show us with like World War Z, which had a contagion, and then there was that movie Contagion, remember, with the one that was in the Jason Bourne movie.
Matt Damon, is it? For some reason, I'm getting Matt Damon.
Yeah. Right, Matt Damon. What were they trying to show us in that? The whole COVID mess. So a lot of these movies, they're showing an element of something that's going to happen. Predictive programming, Men in Black movies, all these movies. But there's been so many with zombie apocalypses. I know there's a show, The Walking Dead. I've never watched it, wouldn't care to watch it, but I think that's what the whole thing is about, is zombies. And to me, what is going on in Minneapolis is becoming like a zombie apocalypse, is what it's feeling like to me.
I agree. And, you know, it's really sad to see how people can be manipulated so easily and led astray so easily. You know what I mean? That's sad to me. Like, it's like people have no moral compass. You know what I mean? It's really like a problem in our society. You know, people can be led and misconstrued very easily. And that's sad, you know, and I hope that I never do that on this podcast. That's why I always say we go deep, you decide, so the people can decide. But then also, I don't ever want to lead someone astray. I don't ever want to put anybody in a bad position. Like a lot of these people, like these politicians, are putting people in bad positions. You know, I don't know about Trump. I'm not sold on him, but I'm not, you know, dissing him either. You know, I don't know where I'm at with Trump, you know, but I don't trust any politicians ever. You know what I mean? Not, you know, I mean, like, so I don't know, you know, like, I think it's really, again, I think it's just really sad how people can be led astray. And like, you know, people are like ruining their lives, you know, over a protest in Minnesota, you know, and what for? What's it worth? You know, I mean, like, nothing's going to get accomplished from it. You know, I guarantee you, they're not going to accomplish anything, you know? So it's like, I don't know, you know, it's just, it frustrates me really, you know? And again, I have to think what's going on there esoterically, you know? Beth Noyes said that there's satanic rituals going on in the capital of Minnesota. So if there's satanic and Luciferian rituals going on, that can really like demonically hijack people and stuff. And, you can put like black magic on that area, and that can cause angst and corruption and craziness and fighting, and on both sides, left and right. I'm not taking a side here. I'm just saying, like, if Beth's right and they are doing satanic rituals there, I could see that happen. And what do you think about that, Missy?
I think this is a war of good and evil. It goes beyond left and right. It does. It goes way beyond. It is good and evil. Good versus evil. That's why when that AI picture, I came up with that, because it is like an angelic war. I mean, it really is to the point. It feels like the end game now.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
I agree.
And are they going to freeze us out? I mean, what was the point? Even the weather is becoming polarized so much, where it's extreme cold, extreme hot. Everything is as extreme as it can be.
Yeah.
And where was this storm directed to hit? I mean, was it directed to, and by who? Who made it? Where's it directed to hit? Because it feels inorganic, and it's sick, and yet there's organic elements in it, but it's signaling somebody too, because Fern, the name Fern.
Yeah.
Why that name? Why to do with spring? Why to do with the oldest plants, on the face of the earth, that are supposed to be resilient?
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's definitely something to think about. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. This is a comment from Jason, and he says he's kind of saying what I said, but in a different way. He says the occult might be targeting that area already because of turmoil and easier stuff to let in. I think so too. I think maybe that's definitely what's happening. It's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. And by the way, guys, since we've been going 45 minutes, like, I think this is a good time to say you can start calling in. Like, we're still going to cover some topics, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about all this stuff, about Wendigos and the Great Lakes and everything we talked about tonight. You know what I mean? You can even tell us what you think about Minnesota, or anything we talked about, or anything that's on your mind. If you want to talk about your UFO experience, it's more than welcome. And the number's on the screen. The number is 573-877-7637. And I'd love to hear from you guys. And thank you, Jason, for posting the number. And I'd love to get a couple calls tonight. That would be really fun. So you guys can start calling in now. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else was on the agenda, Missy. Like, what is do you think this is setting us all up for a cataclysm or a reset or something like that?
Could be. It could be. Who I really like to listen to, I've watched on Netflix, which is Ancient Apocalypse by Grant Hancock, and he talks a lot about that, all these different places. Also, there's a Stonehenge type of place. I think it's in Lake Superior too, under the water. Graham Hancock, that'd be another great guest, but he talks a lot about all these different places, Gobekli Tepe, just everywhere, all important places in Malta, the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, Serpent Mounds in Ohio, which I've been to, other places like that all these were meant to warn us of a coming cataclysm. And was the last cataclysm the Ice Age?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe and maybe we're in like a mini Ice Age right now, with what's going on in the weather. You know? I hope not.
Yeah,
I hope not.
They said global warming for years, but I remember listening, we've talked about this before, listening to Stan Deo on Coast to Coast saying not by fire, but by ice, that he had that book, and it was talking about the great Ice Age coming, these many ice ages, because the geothermal warming actually creates the cooling, because it kind of makes sense. In a hotel, the way they freeze ice cubes is they actually use hot water to freeze it.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Oh, shit. They wait. What was that again?
I've heard they use hot water to make ice cubes, like in those ice machines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. let's see here. I was seeing if we got any call. No calls yet.
Did we cover everything that we said? I can't remember. You've got the hashtags in front of you.
What do you think is up with the Northern Lights though? Why do you think they're showing up more? Like what do you think about that? Like
that has something to do with magnetic storms, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, all that stuff. And chemtrailing.
Yeah.
Both. Activations with the sun. Back to why is the sun white? Why do we see a white sun that used to be yellow? What's going on with it? People say the sun's so good for you, but I don't feel like the sun's good for you. I feel like, to me, it's toxic. The only time it felt benevolent last year was that 1 month or so that the government was shut down. The sky looked normal. And then the other thing is, what are they trying to cover up? Because I actually felt like when I was in Western North Carolina, I could see the waters above in the firmament, like there was something opening in the sky. And another thing they showed us in movies, portals opening in the sky. Do you remember that? All these things have this vertical portal thing that opens and goes up somewhere. That's another thing they've shown us in movies for a long time.
Wow. I was seeing what else. Yeah, I agree. And we talked about everything. Like
and remember that you brought up Meet the Fockers there watching. I love that. Rob.
Yeah. I thought that was weird that movie, because I was telling Missy, I go to bed with like binaural beats on, or I'll have like affirmations or subliminals playing, and then I woke up and like Meet the Fockers was on. It was weird. The other day I woke up and Popeye was playing. Remember the old movie from back in it had to be the 50s or 60s, but it was color, but it was the movie Popeye. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why did YouTube put this in my, in my algorithm? And like, it was playing it. Like I woke up at like 6 in the morning and it was playing, and I was like, why am I watching Popeye? Like it was
Dude,
bizarre,
more spinach. You have to eat spinach, Rob. That's why.
I think so. I think that's what it was, like, yeah.
Well, I wake up song in my head. Freedom of choice is what you want. Freedom of choice is what you got. I've got Devo songs in my head.
I love Devo. That's great. All right, guys.
What are people saying in the chat?
Willard Wright's talking about his family. He says Willard's saying that the Illuminati in Eldersburg and Skull and Bones and Eastern Masonic Star. He says my family's the Vanderbilts. It's pagan rituals and Luciferian cult. Their family is a mansion dungeon. Oh my God, that's insane. Like, guys, call in. I'd want to hear some of you guys call in tonight. Like 573-877-7637. Come on, guys. Let's make it a fun show. Like, I'd love to get a couple calls going here. And whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on Rumble, I know we got a lot of people watching, so don't be shy to call in. You'll be doing the show a favor. It'll make the show fun. So yeah, just call in. Let me see here. Okay, what we were going to talk about the paranormal veil a little bit. Like, do you think that like the veil is thinning even more, or like do you think that that's like becoming a thing as well?
Well, I think in these paranormal hotspots, it is. I think some areas it might be because magnetic anomalies are shifting on the planet. So some places are becoming more paranormal, some less paranormal. I mean, I always feel in places where there's minerals and mineral deposits and water, whether it's salt water, fresh water, crystals, stuff like that, fissures in the earth, deep underground caverns, you're going to have paranormal events there, because that's a battery source for those other interdimensional beings. And it's an inner earth gate, I feel. It definitely, there's a gateway also into Greenland, because like I said, the same ice was shared and the same telluric rock formations were all connected. All that was connected at one point during the Pangea time.
Yeah. Wow. Let me see here. What is it? Jim says in the chat, manifestation moving faster this year. He says, "Don't create
Yeah,
worry." Yeah. You agree with that?
and that connects in Chinese year of the fire horse, which is, I feel like the chariot card, where you're running full steam ahead. So it's going to move faster. Time keeps moving faster.
Yeah, it does.
Like
I wonder what's up with that. That's weird, right?
Slipping into the future. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Like that's a great song too. I was just thinking about something. I was like, there's that I don't know. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah, I just had a brain thing, like where I forgot about something. What was that? Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I guess nobody's calling. I don't know what to do. I guess we'll just finish up now. I don't know. I thought we'd get a couple calls, but nobody called tonight. So, I don't know.
Nobody's calling. Why not? Anybody saying anything in the chat? Don't be shy. I've got my magical Nordic tarot.
We got a lot of people watching. It's just that nobody's really interested. I guess nobody wants to call. That's maybe next time. That's why I haven't done a call-in show, because people really like the call-in shows, but it's hard to get people to call. I thought it'd be a lot easier to get people to call. Like I thought a lot of people would like to call in. I don't know.
They're shy.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well, I pulled the moon card, which is illusion.
Yeah. Oh, you're pulling card. Yeah.
We know all about the moon. Yeah, these are my Aurora Borealis cards.
Trisha Hammock wants to know if you made your hat or did you get it somewhere?
My friend Donna made this for me. Donna is the one that makes creepy dolls. You've met her before.
Oh, yeah. I like her. Yeah, she's cool. She was on the show one time, I think, right? Yeah.
Yep, was. Yep. She doesn't only do that.
If anybody wants a reading from Missy, just put your name in the chat. We'll get you a reading, I guess, do you want to read me, Missy, and see what you come up with? Like, while we're waiting for people to
donate to Rob. Buy him a coffee. Buy Rob a coffee.
Yeah, guys. And I put the links in the description. And if anybody wants a reading, you don't have to donate though. I mean, we would just get reading it, but it does help out a lot. It does. Like it's for sure. Oh, that's cool.
This is from my friend Ben that passed away, that just recently had a birthday because he's an Aquarian. But yeah, he passed away. So many people have left. I noticed that you did a marathon for Renetta. I thought that was great. I was going to go back and listen to some of it, but I didn't get to it. But I just thought this is a good clearing right now. It's a good sound.
Yeah. Oh, we actually got a call, Missy. We got a call. Let's take it. Here we go. Okay. Let's see here. Hello, you're live on the air with Missy Hill and Typical Skeptic Podcast. Who's calling, please?
Hey, what's up? My name online is Jim, but my real name's Nate.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
My thing on my mind right now is truth is everyone watching news too much, thinking worrying too much. It's literally what they want. Hold on, pardon me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, my main thing, dude, I'm gang stalked. You already heard me bitch about it many times. And I'm not bitching about the gang stalking. It doesn't bother me. Main thing is people worry way too much, and that's the whole plan. I heard Arkeem Ra. I watched your video yesterday with him. I love Arkeem Ra, and I was. He called people dumb, saying, "Oh, well, the Minnesota people are rising up," but he's worried way too much. He's giving off loosh. That's the problem I have right now. A lot of these truthers are giving off way too much loosh.
Yeah, like I don't know if you see, like I try to stay neutral. You know what I mean? Like I try to stay neutral.
You're cool. Dude, I love you, man. I'm just saying. A lot of people, man, even the snowstorm, dude, it's all for loosh, man. It's all the Truman Show, dude. Wasn't far-fetched. It's Truman had to face his fears, hit the wall. Dolores Cannon talked about facing your fears. You people have, that's the one thing I can't stress enough. Like, I love you. I always say this because I love you guys, man. I don't believe in that whole collective crap, dude, because when timelines split, it's not going to be a collective. It's where your frequency hits. It's where your frequency's at. You know, when the split comes, people aren't getting that. So,
yeah, you seem like you're really tuned in. You seem like you're really tuned in, though. You know, or you're really tapped in. You know.
Yeah, I'm really well read. I've been thrown in the mental institution 4 times as a schizophrenic. Which you're listening to me right now. I'm not dumb. They said I was mentally unfit. Can't think of my own. Dude, all I do is research, do nature walks. I'm not dumb, dude. They don't get that. Like, but no, I just like the truth community, man. I don't care what. Honestly, the thing is, I don't care what you know in the truth community. It really doesn't matter where your frequency's at this point.
Yeah.
The love and light shit's bullshit too, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, just keep your frequency high. People just worry too much, man. I only called in because you guys said nobody's calling in. They're all wussed out. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna call in.
Yeah, I'm glad you called, man. This is awesome. Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing before we go, and I'll let Missy answer to everything you said. But like, what did you think about my show? I don't know if you saw my show with Jerry Marzinski, where he talks about that he thinks that like schizophrenia is caused by entity attachments. Like, what do you think of that? Or do you think it's like something else?
I think it's that partially, but also they use it as an excuse to throw you in the mental institution. Because I got thrown in the mental institution because my Kundalini awakening, and it's not a coincidence that I got thrown in the mental institution the first time at 33 years old, because 33 vertebrae on the spine. You know, Jesus died at 33.
That's also, you know, like when I turned 30 years old, I had my Saturn return or my dark night of the soul, where you have a lot of bad stuff happen to you. So that could also probably happen at 33 too, you know, depending on what your astrological.
Yeah, I went through the dark night of the soul in the mental. Yeah, I went through that in the mental institution. I see werewolves, vampires, Dracos in the mental institution. If you want to see people, if your third eye's open and you go into a mental institution, you will see their masks flip. I've seen shit on. I can see TV and see people. I've seen a woman on the TV. I can see shit on the TV because my third eye's open. I seen a chick one time. She had pale white skin, muscular cheeks, and all her teeth looked like like piranhas.
Wow.
On Scripps News. On Scripps News.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna drop.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the call now and let Missy answer it with everything you talked about. And thank you so much for calling. It was awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks.
And I love
what sorry, I think he was saying he loves what I do. But what did you think about what he said, Missy?
Do you remember a show called V? There was a woman, and she was like the reptilian. You remember that show, V? I think it was called.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
remember that.
Had landed, and they were going to like take over. I mean, I noticed that like when I would watch things on the TV, especially not so much on, you know, YouTube and things like that. But I remember like listening to Obama speak, and everybody thought he was great, but I felt like he might have sounded good, but the whatever was coming out of his mouth was like putting weird geometries into the air and stuff like that. And I didn't feel good listening to, you know, or John McCain. So it's not sides. I mean, even I remember when John McCain said something about a draconian something. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not the same guy that they said was like the war hero that wrote the book. They made him into what he was, right? And I can't remember exactly what all the things he said, but I'm going to answer to it about not worrying. Don't worry, be happy. It makes me think of don't worry, be happy, be happy.
That was Bobby McFerrin. I remember that song, Bobby McFerrin. You know, I feel lucky because I grew up in a time like, you know, I think me and Indy were talking about this. She's like 5 years, 6 years, maybe 7 years younger than me, and she feels like that me and you have a connection with all these songs because I remember growing up and hearing all this stuff and like watching all this stuff. Like, you know, like growing up in the 80s, they had all the 60s and 70s movies on during the days and Saturdays and stuff like that. And like I used to hear all the music, so I feel like I grew up at a great time because like. We also it was a time where it was like the transition from the no internet to the internet. So we got to see what life was like. And you did too, you know, life was like before the internet and now life with the internet. It's
it was more innocent, right? It was definitely more innocent. Look at the movies and how they were. They were more, you know, slapstick, more, you know, Chevy Chase movies, you know, Dan Aykroyd, you know, things like that, you know, that kind of great stuff. Saturday Night Live, you know, it was great back then, right? And now it's not that way anymore. But I see not just a left and a right, not just an up and down, not just a black and white, not just a good and evil of extremes. There's a third field, which is the neutral, because you have to remember it's really 33 and a third percent is on the left, 3 and a third percent is on the right. Well, the middle is what most people are that you don't hear from. That's the triquetra. And I'm not saying just on a physical 3D level. I'm talking about not just the bifurcation, but what's called the trifurcation. It's this tri-wave. It's coming back into unity consciousness of a way of the third field, the middle way, finding the middle way as the monks walk across the country for peace to Washington, D.C. I didn't get to see them, but they were actually in Columbia. I heard they were close to Asheville, North Carolina, too. And they're walking in the snow. They're doing it anyway, you know, walking for peace, right? So there's that third middle way of not buying into left or right or any of this stuff and seeing the truth and bringing the, you know, going beyond fifth dimension, connecting with 12th dimension and beyond, internal, eternal creation of who we are before, you know, when we came from God's source, first eternal, you know, connecting back into that, back into your Adasi return cycles that, you know, we've already ascended. Some of us have ascended, done this already, and we want to just go beyond the matrix and ascend or whatever. It's not even ascension, it's inscension to get out of this 3D construct by the way of that trifurcation middle field. I think we have to find that middle way, that balance. And, you know, copper, part of the whole thing about, agate, that's what I was going to come back around, circle back around at agate, which is this stone here, which, I don't know, this stone has a name, but I can't think of its name. Do you remember its name, Ron? No. It had a double name. I can't remember what it is. But agate, what was it good for? It was good for, it's petrified wood. It's good for emotional balance, understanding, and compassion. And that's everything that those people, and you know, the world as a whole, but everything that we see going on in Minneapolis and some of these other places, it's not compassion or emotional balance or any of that. It's the complete opposite. And we seem to, on this planet, have to learn or remember, which is, you know, that reconnection, that magnetic reconnection of who we are through its opposite. Well, I'm tired of learning everything through the opposite. I don't want that experience anymore. So this guy's absolutely right. This thing about the collective, maybe there isn't collectives. I mean, I have one friend that said, finally, she used to be concerned about what the collectives do. And she's like, I don't care about the collective anymore. I'm just writing the script for my movie, and everything is going in the script for my movie at this point, and I'm not worrying about collective consciousnesses and things that are going on, because everything's a wild card, like call the wild card line, where we just don't even know anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
do we really even know? It's like we can guess, but do we really know shit? Not really.
Yeah.
Only for our own self. In the moment, which can change in the next moment. So we need to be in the flow. So these are what these cards look like. I got them because I'm constantly wanting to, connect with the Aurora Borealis. So that's why I got these.
Indigo Angel's in the chat. She says, I just saw her comment. And if anybody wants to call in, you can call in 573-877-7637. And she says, hi, Missy and Rob. Are we going to Louisiana? I think we should.
Going to her first.
Yeah, it would be me, Indy, you, and Ron. You know, it would be a nice little trip. You know.
Yeah, it would be. But she's a few hours from there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that area. Hurricane Katrina hit. You know what's there, right? New Orleans. We need to do a
paranormal capital of the world. That's why.
We need to do a show for Mardi Gras and the significance of Fat Tuesday and why there's a plastic baby in the king cake.
Why
there's a Mardi Gras king and queen and the Fisher King and all the bullshit that goes into Mardi Gras. Yeah.
Here's a really nice message from Frank Schultz. Frank says, Rob, you have the most incredible guests, and I love what you do. Thank you for your mission. Thank you, Frank. That's awesome. I appreciate it. And yeah, I got a good lineup coming up, guys. I mean, I got some really, really good guests coming up. People that really think outside the box. Like, it's not just going to be like secret space stuff or anything like that. I'm telling you, like, I'm not even going to announce who I have coming up, because I just booked like 4 or 5 guests today that are really like, they're really going to get you thinking outside the box in different areas, from the soul trap to like astral travel to, it's going to be, we're going to have some really good shows, and yeah, I mean, I often think about that, Missy, the soul trap, are we in a soul trap? And like, I often think about like, what's the whole purpose of even being here? You know what I mean? Like, and I often also think like, I think I've been here before. I think I've lived this exact life, and I keep messing up. I keep doing something wrong. So I keep having to come back and like do it over again. Cause I get these weird, like deja vu moments that they really eat away at me. Like, cause when I have them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is so real. You know what I mean? It feels like it happened before, it's really weird. I don't know if that's something to do with reincarnation and past lives or concurrent lives and parallel realities. You know what I mean? Like,
I always saw Chicago as connected to the incarnation. Like, there's something going on in Chicago that also I get connects with like this whole Lake Superior thing, but there's like a time portal clock thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's something to do with time and the template of our body and things that control like the aging of the body and reincarnation in the United States that's housed in Chicago somewhere. I don't know why, but I'm seeing this line going up from the Great Lakes, Lake Superior, going over to Greenland to where this, point of which maybe is where that UFO is, this tilt here that connects into the moon and Saturn.
And maybe the moon's like some kind of reincarnation trap machine or something like that. We got a good comment from Willard here. Willard says, look, Rob, I almost died at birth. Ever since I've had supernatural experiences and vision dreams and awake and eclipse dreams, standing on the porch and an archangel dropped in on me. Wow. That's intense. Cubs future has question marks.
I can't remember when Mardi Gras is this year, but I definitely want to do a show for that to decode that, because I've never done that on your show about Mardi Gras.
Yeah, we could. I'd like to do it from there. That'd be great. Like if we could go to New Orleans and like do live shows from there, that would be
Yeah,
that would be huge.
I think it's too early. I think it's in March. I think Mardi Gras is before Easter, because it's 40 days before Lent, and Easter I think in March or April. So we'll have to talk about exactly when. But yeah, we'll get into the whole thing, because just think of this. Why is a plastic baby in a king cake? Just chew on that for a while. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
go ahead, tell us. I got to hear this. What do you think it is?
it represents human sacrifice. Why would a baby be in a cake? I'll get into it more another time. I picked the Eight of Swords, which is about restriction. That's all that restriction. It's mental cards, the amplification of the mind, the hive mind. That is a hive mind scenario going on in Minneapolis too. Oh, also we're going to announce our gridworker. Andy came in the chat, and we're going to be doing a show on picking apart Minneapolis, breaking down what's going on there and doing a clearing.
That's Friday, I think. I think it's me, you, Beth, and Indy. Like I think I don't know. I think I'm not sure.
It's either Wednesday or Friday. I'm not sure what day either.
Or maybe she's doing her grid work thing Wednesday with you guys, and then because I know we're doing a show Friday with Beth to talk about Minnesota. So I don't know. I'm not. I just have to talk to her about that. I don't know what's going on, but this is let's see if we can get a couple more calls, guys, before we go. 573-877-7637. Call in, and and it'll be cool. I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about. I don't know. I think we kind of talked about everything, though, right?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think we did. I'll tell you, Lake Superior is beautiful. Not a place to go in the winter, but it's beautiful to go like in the summer months, because most of the lakes that I've been to are all man-made lakes. This is a natural lake. Like we have a beautiful one in South Carolina. It is spring-fed, but it's Lake Jocassee, and even it has a ghost town in the water. Divers have found the ruins of a ghost town. Oh, I know. I went to a place the other day called Dorchester that had the Dorchester bell tower. That was a colonial church bell tower and ruins of a town from colonial times in South Carolina. It was in Somerville.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was interesting. Yeah. We took a little walk there. There's more research to uncover. It was so cold there, but I just wanted to take Arthur for a walk when we had to go out and run some errands.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been as much on my mind as all this stuff. I mean, this stuff has just really been on my mind and heart, because it is just such a messed up situation there. It's just not.
It really is. It's like, that's what I wanted. I wanted people to call. I wanted to see what people thought about Minnesota, because I'm curious to see what the collective thinks about that. And also, like if people want to tell their experiences or whatever too. Oh, the Andromedan said, could he get a reading? Like, or maybe could you pull a card for the Andromedan? He says any readings.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, do you have a question? I'm sweating I just broke out into a huge sweat for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But
oh my God, got the death card, which is about rebirth, but there's a lot of fire. So instead of ice, I'm seeing this whole thing with the extremes of fire and ice, and the fire and ice activation of the infra pink and the blue ice color that flashes blue and dark blue, light blue, like going from sapphire blue to like a crystal sky blue. But anyway, death and rebirth. So this is the rebirth card for them.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool, Andromeda. You know, Mm. I think he gets a lot of signs of that he should be doing something like, I think with the internet. Like I think he should have a channel because he studies all this stuff, and he's always in the chat. Like, that could be your rebirth, Andromeda, and rebirth yourself and do like a whole new social media thing where you share stuff with people online. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll call it quits for now. Yeah, at least Yeah. Well, do you want to tell people where they can follow you, Missy? And I put your Facebook and Instagram and your email in the description. But like if you want to leave that, or any final words or anything before we finish up.
You can email me Hill, Hill, Night, Nite, Vision, Vision, at gmail.com, Hill Night Vision at gmail.com. You can friend me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on X, but I don't do anything on X. We're going to be doing some more stuff. I've started to look into Transylvania moonrise and stuff again. We'll get into that another time. You know what that's about.
Yeah, I got to get Peter Moon's email. I'm trying to find his email. I'm telling you, I had him on the show. I had him on, like, it was honestly like 3 or 4 years ago, before like I knew the implications of having Peter Moon on my show. You know what I mean? Like now it would be huge, but like, I wonder if he has a website, because like I really want to get him back on the show, and I'd like to do that show with you, like. I'm going to look for his information tonight. Like, I'm going to try to get in contact with him. Like, because that's great that came back into the collective, and that came into your mind about Peter Moon and Transylvania Sunrise. And like that's
and that ties in with Montauk too, and his whole, talk about Dr. David Anderson and stuff. And I think he was on Coast to Coast too.
He absolutely was. He was on with Art Bell about time travel, right? But he was on about other stuff too, I think. Yeah. Those are good. Those are good shows, guys. And guys, but follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and follow me on Spotify. I'm trying to get my follows up on those. Like, it's important that you follow me on Spotify, because I'm trying to build up my Spotify audio audience, and then you'll get notified every time I drop an audio podcast. Follow me on Instagram. I put out notifications and stuff on there all the time. Follow me on Facebook. It's robert.khalil.7. And I also have Discord and Telegram groups. Theirs are free also. And then I have Patreon if you want to join the Patreon just to, support the show. It's people, I don't really put out extra stuff on Patreon. I'll tell you guys, I put out everything on YouTube and Rumble. So you guys get everything anyway. So the people that support on Patreon are people that just want to kind of support the show. But that's what I'm really trying for, is Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Just give me a follow on Spotify. You know what I mean? Let's see how many people can do that. If we get 50 follows on Spotify, I'll give away a free T-shirt. So yeah, like
I know I'm following you on Spotify, but I totally forgot about it. So I'll have to go back there and post something on that.
Yeah, I do tell people to follow me on Spreaker. Spreaker's my main audio podcast. Like, that's where I should be telling people to follow me at. But like, most people don't like go to Spreaker. You know what I mean? They don't know about it. They don't know what it is. Like, so I just tell people Spotify, because they can follow me on Apple Podcasts too. It's all the audio are the same. Like, I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. All those numbers report back to my Spreaker account. My Spreaker is like my main audio, you know what I mean? It handles all my numbers and stuff like that, and all the analytics, and like, it distributes out to all those platforms and stuff. And I love audio. I always have loved audio. You know what I mean? I really, going back to the Art Bell days, like I would even do like an audio podcast, but like, that's how much I like it. I would do like, I wish I had my own radio show. Like, remember you said earlier today, you said it'd be cool if we could play bumper music, It's even like Alex Jones is playing bumper music now, so it's like, how do we get that to where, I got to figure out a way to, buy music licensing so I can play bumper music. That'd be great. We could take breaks. We could take calls, play bumper music. Like, that would be like a real official radio show,
My song would have been, if I could have, would have been Voices Inside My Head. The Police song, I told you that. I had a guy that actually wrote a song. His name was Sean something. It was Kennedy's speech. It was like the very word secrecy in a free society. all this stuff about conspiracy and all that. That speech by Kennedy was actually set to music. It was great.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I would find that, yeah.
Wow.
But all those are gone unless they're uploaded on YouTube because Blog Talk Radio's gone.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people have passed on there, like Franco Di Nicola and Timothy Green Beckley. I interviewed him. See, that was how I got in touch with Peter Moon. It was through Tim Beckley, Maria D'Andrea, and Tim Schwartz.
Wow. Oh, I know Tim Schwartz.
Network.
Maybe I should ask Tim Schwartz if he has Peter Moon's. I'll ask Tim Schwartz to come back on because he's a good guest. I like Tim Schwartz, and then I'll ask him if he has Peter Moon's information.
Like him too. I've only met him online, so I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's awesome. Like he's definitely awesome. Like he's definitely a good guest.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I think we covered it all. Unless anybody has anything else before we wrap it up, that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, guys, follow Missy on Facebook, Instagram, and you can email her. It's all in the description. And like I said, follow me on Spotify and Facebook and Instagram. And thank you guys, and have a good night, everybody. And thanks, Missy. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Good night, guys.